The symbol was there all along, hidden in plain sight on the dollar bill, watching over millions of transactions every day. But that's just the beginning of a story that goes deeper than anyone could imagine. Most people think they know about the Freemasons. A bunch of old guys in fancy aprons doing charity work, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. What I found after 6 months of research will make you question everything you thought you knew about power, influence, and who really pulls the strings. I'm about to show you evidence that connects this ancient brotherhood to some of history's most shocking moments. And trust me, once you see these connections, you'll never look at certain historical events the same way again. Before we dive in, though, let me be clear. This isn't some random conspiracy theory video. Everything I'm about to share is backed by historical documents, eyewitness accounts, and evidence that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Did you know that 14 U.S. presidents were confirmed Freemasons? But that's just scratching the surface. The real story begins in 1776, and no, I'm not talking about the Declaration of Independence. Although, as you're about to see, these two events might be more connected than anyone realized. In 1776, a professor in Bavaria named Adam Weishaupt founded a secret society called the Illuminati. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Weishaupt was a Freemason, and he used the existing Masonic lodges to recruit members for his new organization. But why? What was he really planning? The answer lies in a series of letters discovered in 1785 when a messenger carrying secret documents was struck by lightning. Yes, you heard that right. Struck by lightning. The documents that were found on him exposed a plan so ambitious it would make modern-day conspiracy theories look like child's play. These papers revealed that Weishaupt's organization had infiltrated Masonic lodges across Europe, using them as recruitment grounds for something much bigger. Their goal? Nothing less than a complete restructuring of world governance. And the techniques they developed? Well, let's just say they're still being used today. Let me take you to Paris, 1789. The French Revolution erupts, seemingly out of nowhere. But was it really spontaneous? Historical records show that many of the revolution's key figures, including the Marquis de Lafayette, were Freemasons. The same patterns appear in the American Revolution, with prominent figures like Benjamin Franklin and George Washington being high-ranking Masons. But here's where things get really interesting. The layout of Washington, D.C. itself, the capital of the world's most powerful nation, was designed by a Freemason named Pierre Charles L'Enfant. And when you look at the city from above, the streets form very specific geometric patterns that match ancient Masonic symbols. Now let's fast forward to more recent times. The Federal Reserve, created in 1913, was planned at a secret meeting on Jekyll Island. And guess what? Several key participants were Freemasons, the same Federal Reserve that still controls America's money supply today. But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from the symbols they left behind. Take the Great Seal of the United States, the one on the back of the dollar bill, the unfinished pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the Latin phrases. These aren't just random decorations. They're Masonic symbols, each carrying specific meanings that most people never realize. Let's break down these symbols one by one. The unfinished pyramid has exactly 13 layers of stones. Coincidence? Hardly. The number 13 appears repeatedly in Masonic symbolism. But why leave it unfinished? According to Masonic teachings, the unfinished pyramid represents the unfinished task of building a new world order. The all-seeing eye above the pyramid, known as the Eye of Providence, is one of the most recognized Masonic symbols. It represents the great architect of the universe, a central figure in Masonic belief. But its placement above an unfinished pyramid suggests something more: active surveillance and oversight of an ongoing project. The Latin phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum translates to New Order of the Ages. Sound familiar? It should. The phrase New World Order has been used by numerous political leaders throughout history, many of whom, you guessed it, were Freemasons. But here's something that rarely gets discussed: the connection between Freemasonry and the space program. NASA's early days were filled with Masonic influence. Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon, was a 33rd-degree Mason. He even carried a Masonic flag to the moon and claimed lunar soil in the name of his Grand Lodge. The question isn't whether these connections exist. They clearly do. The real question is, what does it all mean? What's the end game? Consider this. Every major financial district in the world has Masonic temples nearby. The City of London, Wall Street, even Switzerland's banking center, all have significant Masonic presence. Is this just coincidence, or is there something more systematic at play? Let's look at more recent events. The Bohemian Grove meetings, where world leaders gather annually in California, follow many Masonic traditions. The same geometric patterns found in Washington, D.C. appear in other major capital cities worldwide: Paris, London, Rome, all designed with Masonic principles in mind. But perhaps the most disturbing connection is how these influences affect our daily lives. The banking system, government structure, even the education system, all bear marks of Masonic philosophy and organization. The 7 liberal arts and sciences, emphasized in Masonic teachings, form the backbone of modern education. Some researchers suggest that the Freemasons aren't just preserving ancient knowledge, they're actively using it. The sacred geometry they study isn't just for show, it's being applied in architecture, city planning, and even in the design of corporate logos and government symbols. Think about it. Why do we still use these symbols today? Why does every dollar bill carry Masonic imagery? Why do government buildings worldwide incorporate Masonic architectural elements? The answer might be simpler and more profound than we imagine. The Freemasons have always claimed to be working toward the betterment of humanity, but their methods, secrecy, selective membership, hidden symbols, raise questions about their true intentions. Are they really just a charitable organization, or are they something more? Here's what we know for certain. The Masonic influence on world events isn't just historical, it's ongoing. Modern banking systems, government structures, and global organizations all show signs of Masonic philosophy and organization. The question isn't whether they're influential, but rather, how deep does their influence really go? The evidence I've shown you today is just the tip of the iceberg. The connections between Freemasonry and major historical events are too numerous and too precise to be coincidental. From the founding of nations to modern financial systems, their influence is everywhere, if you know where to look. What's most fascinating is how these patterns continue to repeat. The same symbols, the same geometric principles, the same philosophical ideas, they keep appearing throughout history, right up to the present day. It's like a signature, hidden in plain sight. So what does all this mean for us today? Are the Freemasons still actively shaping world events? The evidence suggests they are, but perhaps not in the way most people think. Their influence isn't through direct control, but through systems and structures they helped create centuries ago, systems we still use today. The real question isn't whether the Freemasons are connected to these historical events and modern systems. They clearly are. The question is, what are they planning next? And more importantly, now that you know what to look for, will you start seeing these patterns too? The truth is out there, hiding in plain sight. All you have to do is open your eyes and look for the signs. They're everywhere. On our money, in our cities, and maybe even in events happening right now that we don't yet understand. Watch my next video to discover how these same patterns are appearing in current world events. The signs are there. You just need to know where to look. Subscribe now. The truth can't stay hidden forever.